Hello viewers and welcome to my new video. In today's video I'm going to be talking to you about how not to give up, and this is about playing music after an injury, okay? And what has actually inspired me to make this video today is my own injury that I have sustained just over a week ago. And to be honest with you, I'm not quite sure when I will be able to post this video, because at the moment my right hand and my lower right arm isn't functioning as normal, but my left hand is still obviously all functional. But this presents certain challenges with day-to-day activities and things like that, as you can imagine, including editing videos, okay? However, this is my right hand at the moment. It's in a splint. What actually happened was I was commuting to work on my bike, as I always do, and then I had to brake, but what I didn't realize was that there was black ice on the road, and effectively my bike just went from underneath me completely and I just hit the ground. And then I extended my right arm to sort of rescue myself, and then I hit the ground with my wrist. And also I have some wrist injury, and then I have some elbow injury as well. But luckily, at least they don't think that anything is actually broken, but there might be some minor bone injury in my scaphoid, which is this sort of small bone underneath your thumb. But it is getting better. I am on a road to recovery, and I'm sure that in a few weeks time I will be able to play guitar again and return to my normal day-to-day activities. At the moment, some of the movements are still painful, and you know, I can't, like I said, I cannot do certain things, especially when it comes to grabbing, pushing, pulling, things like that, you know. So really this is what inspired me to make the video. Now, what I'm gonna be talking to you about today is 4 particular musicians who sustained quite serious injuries, and obviously my injury is quite insignificant compared to them, but it's just to give you some of that motivation and inspiration, really, that, you know, not to give up no matter what. Okay, so the first person I'm gonna be talking about today is Django Reinhardt. So Django Reinhardt, I actually discovered him through my father, believe it or not, who actually played his records at home when I was younger, and then I became kind of interested. Oh, who is this guy playing the guitar? And then I found out who he was. However, what I did not know at the time, which I found out later on, was that this person actually had quite a severe injury to his fingers. Okay, so let me just read this out to you, actually from I'm just gonna be using Wikipedia and just tell you exactly what actually happened. So I'm actually using my left hand here, by the way. My mouse, I've had to move over on this side of the keyboard so I can actually somewhat operate my computer to the best of my ability, at least. All right, so I've got this already prepared here. So what happened was, Reinhardt was actually married. He was of Romani origin, but he lived in France, and then he married a Romani woman, and they were living, as you know, in an actual wagon. Okay, and what happened was this wagon caught fire, and actually he nearly died in that. And what happened was, this was actually on the night of 2nd of November 1928. He was going to bed in the wagon that he and his wife shared in the caravan, and he knocked over a candle which ignited the extremely flammable celluloid that his wife used to make artificial flowers. The wagon was quickly engulfed in flames, and the couple escaped, but Reinhardt suffered extreme burns over half his body. During his 18-month hospitalization, doctors recommended amputation of his badly damaged right leg. Reinhardt refused the surgery and was eventually able to walk with the aid of a cane. More crucial to his music, and this is really interesting, the fourth finger, so that's the ring finger, and the fifth finger, so the little finger, of Reinhardt's left hand were badly burned. Doctors believed that he would never play guitar again, and during many months of recuperation, Reinhardt taught himself to play again using primarily the index and the third fingers of his left hand by making use of a new 6-string steel-strung acoustic guitar that was bought for him by his brother, Joseph Reinhardt, who was also an accomplished guitarist. So while he never regained the use of those two fingers, Reinhardt regained his musical mastery by focusing on his left index and middle fingers, using the two injured fingers only for chord work. So how impressive is that, right? He effectively relearned how to play guitar, and you know what, some of his guitar work is absolutely amazing and outstanding, you know, and so fast, you know, just using the two fingers. Imagine just using those two fingers just to play, you know, just to kind of play really fast licks all over the neck. Absolutely incredible. The second person I would like to talk to you about today is Tony Iommi from the famous heavy metal band Black Sabbath. So Tony Iommi, at the age of 17, lost the tips of middle and ring fingers of his right hand, and this was his fretboard hand since he's left-handed. Alright, so obviously he's one of these left-handed guitarists that play sort of the fret with the right hand, and they kind of pluck with the left hand. So, and this was an industrial accident on his last day of work in a sheet metal factory. Iommi described how he was told, "You'll never play again." It was unbelievable. "I sat in the hospital with my hand in this bag and I thought, that's it, I'm finished. But eventually I thought, I'm not going to accept that. There must be a way I can play." And after the injury, Iommi's factory foreman played him a recording of, guess who? Django Reinhardt himself, which encouraged him to continue as a musician. As Iommi later wrote, "My friend said, 'Listen to this guy play,' and I went, 'No way, listening to someone play the guitar is the very last thing I want to do right now.' But he kept insisting, and he ended up playing the record for me. I told him I thought it was really good, and then he said, 'You know, the guy's only playing with two fingers on his fretboard hand because of an injury he sustained in a terrible fire.' I was totally knocked back by this revelation and was so impressed by what I had just heard that I suddenly became inspired to start trying to play again." Inspired by Reinhardt's two-fingered guitar playing, Iommi decided to try playing guitar again, though the injury made it quite painful to do so. Although it was an option, Iommi never seriously considered switching hands and learning to play right-handed. And effectively, he ultimately decided to continue playing left-handed. To do so, he fitted homemade thimbles to his injured fingers to extend and protect them. The thimbles were made from an old fairy liquid bottle, melted it down, got a hot soldering iron and shaped it like a finger, and cut sections from a leather jacket to cover his new homemade prosthetic. So again, a phenomenal example of someone who didn't give up even after being given such a, prognosis from the doctors. He still was determined to carry on and play, Amazing. third musician I would like to talk to you about today is Rick Allen. Okay, so Rick Allen is a drummer from a very famous band, Def Leppard. Now, what happened was, on the afternoon of the 31st of December 1984, Allen was involved in a car crash with his then girlfriend. So he was basically trying to overtake this car in front of him, but the car was deliberately apparently slowing down, and then Rick kind of got a bit frustrated and he tried to overtake at speed, and then he lost control of his car and then hit a dry stone wall and entered a field. Basically, his left arm was entangled in the seatbelt and severed, remaining in the car while Allen was flung out. So imagine, he was flung out of the car and his arm stayed inside the car, you know, sort of being sort of held by his seatbelt. Doctors initially reattached the arm, but it was later amputated due to an infection. And initially Allen felt defeated, but buoyed by family, friends and hundreds of thousands of letters from all over the planet, he decided to continue playing drums with Def Leppard and adopted a specially designed electronic drum kit. The fact, that the band never gave up on him and they've kept him in the band even though he lost his arm as a drummer, imagine that. And he kept playing, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, after losing his arm, I think that he recorded like the best-selling Def Leppard's album with them. So this is pretty incredible in itself, and actually shows you how determination and motivation can actually make you overcome the hardest obstacles in life sometimes. The fourth person I would like to talk to you about today is Steve Vai, and this is the most recent example where Steve actually had a corrective surgery on his right shoulder, where he believes that sitting while playing the guitar and hunching his shoulder for close to 50 years may have compromised the tendons, and then also he was doing his chest flies and kind of like tore the muscles, I think the tendons, and he had to effectively have an operation on that, and then that was done by Dr. Knapp, and then at the same almost sort of very close by, he also was holding this one chord in a position for like a really long time with his left hand again, and so the surgery, so the sort of shoulder injury was on his right shoulder, but also with his left hand he was holding this chord for like 20 minutes, apparently trying to shape this like really difficult chord, and then ended up with this like what they call trigger finger, I think, where he couldn't kind of take the finger out of a certain position, and then he had to have an operation on that, so both, imagine that, his right shoulder and his left hand were affected sort of almost at the same, well they were at the same time, there was just a little bit gap between the two, but effectively what he actually then did, he decided to record this song that he called Knapsack, which is absolutely incredible, by the way. In that song, his right arm is in a sling, which he actually called Knapsack from the doctor's name. So this Dr. Knapp, and he gave him this kind of sack, if you like, as Steve called it later, for his arm to sit in. And what actually happened was that he wasn't able during that time when he was writing the song, he was not able to use his right arm at all. Yeah, so he basically just played the whole song with his left hand. He just used pull-offs and hammer-ons to get the sound going from his left hand on the fretboard. So that's another absolutely incredible example of somebody who almost like used it to his stride, like almost like embraced it. Something happened to me, I cannot use my right arm, my left hand has been affected, or is after a surgery. Well, you know what, I'm not gonna give up. I'm actually going to make something good out of it. I'm gonna write a new song, which he did, which is absolutely incredible. So thanks very much for watching today. I hope that this video has inspired you, and I really hope that this will come off quickly and I will be able to get back to playing guitar myself as well. And I will see you in my next video.